I just want a cafe Fredo.
What's that?
Greek coffee. It's their version of iced coffee. They're the only Europeans to have discovered that this fucking exists.
Yeah, cafe Fredo Megala. Paracalo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to TWIG 348. I am Jen Donahoe. I fill the marketing and publishing role on the podcast today. So, in first chair, we have
Phil Black. Monetization czar. Dude, you were asleep, old man.
Oh, man. I was reading a note from Ethan Levy.
Caught you napping.
Ethan Levy just...
Now you can't say his last name. Ethan Levy.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, man. Not helping.
Aircraft Strategy Investing.
Mish Gatkov, friend of the founders.
Founders.
No, Kalispera is what I'm saying now. It's 6 p.m. I could say Kalispera.
Oh, because you're trying to learn
from
Greek.
Athens.
Yes. Okay. Here's what we got going on today. Destiny Rising. So we're going to look back a little bit of the story of how we got here and then check in on how it's doing. Newzoo has a free Global Games Market Report 2025. It's out and we have the highlights. We are so lucky to get an early preview of that. So lots to go over there. Blizzard has a new head of development. Well, new to the role, but not new to Blizzard. So we're going to muse on where they're headed. Roblox RDC 2025 happened this past weekend. So we have key takeaways. And then a former Bethesda executive is harsh on subscription services. Crest just absolutely couldn't resist the red meat from the story. So hang in to the end and you can hear us talk yet again around Xbox Game Pass and all of the challenges there. This time from an outsider, not from us. All right, Mishka, you just were trying to speak Greek.
First week in Athens, kids went to international school, which is fun because my kids don't speak English they didn't speak English, so they got trained. So now they're like 1 week in, they are forced to speak English day to day. We got the house almost done. We're only missing kitchen and all the furniture. So that's pretty fun. Eggs, stuff from Finland hasn't arrived and we kind of came a little bit early. So the kitchen's a bit late. And I experienced my first earthquake, 5.2 Richters. I don't know if that's a lot or if that's medium. I don't know about earthquakes. Yeah. And it was like, if you're looking this on the map, like I put it in here, Athens, and the earthquake was like really close. It was on the Marathon, or I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway, it was like 40 kilometers from here. And if you haven't experienced earthquakes, it felt like somebody roundhouse kicked our house. And it was in the middle of the night. And I kind of woke up and I thought like, is somebody trying to get in? And I was like, I don't have a baseball bat. Like, what should I do? And I'm like listening to the silence outside because not even the animals are talking. Anyways, it was interesting. So, and then personal update, I'm learning Greek at the tender age of 40. And I can say that it's much more difficult than it seems to be to my kids who are like 4 and 8. So yeah, Phil, when are you jumping in on this Duolingo streak?
I would say that I'm already adopting the Greek speed and I will be there before the end of the year. But things are moving at a unique pace.
Because you're in Cyprus, right?
Well, I will be, yes, before the end of the year, hopefully.
Got it.
Like I said, Greek speed. There's a couple things to figure out.
Things work out here. People speak English, which is, by the way, a big plus compared to Spain. No offense, Spain, but in Spain or in France, when you try to speak English, they look down on you and speak back their native tongue. Here, everybody speaks English, which is kind of like refreshing. I don't know
cool.
if it's good or bad, but it's easy.
All right, Mishka, let's get to Shills.
Shills. So we had blog post, newsletter piece, and a podcast with General Catalyst and PDX Partner talking about UA financing. So we get like super deep into it. General Catalyst, of course, funding customer acquisition fund. It's much bigger, mainly, larger products, SaaS services. And then PDX that is really focused on games. So it's an interesting conversation that will make you feel stupid unless you're a CFO. But I definitely encourage everybody who's in that position to choose their funding to listen. And then we have an event alert. So Phil, the Cypriot, and Michalis, the Greek, are coming in to Cyprus. So we're joining GDCY's Executive Lounge event. It's going to be on October 3rd, 2025. They are kind enough to turn a room in a wine cellar in a vineyard into a podcasting studio. So we hope to get a couple of drinks in and record with local founders. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be fun.
I love that you did a podcast on UA financing. I think we're starting to get a lot of questions on that.
Was that Jeff Cohen?
No, so Jeff Cohen works at PVX Partners. That was Joe Vadakatalaco, CEO and co-founder.
Got it.
Gotcha.
All right, so my quick shill is that I just dropped a Roblox RDC recap podcast into the feed. So that was with Joe Ferenz from GameFam and Steven DiPianco from Max Power Gaming. So we covered a bunch of the key topics and takeaways from the big Roblox RDC conference. We're actually going to dive into more. I picked 2 or 3 of the topics that I wanted to get your guys' feedback on that was coming out. I would have gone myself, and Mishka, you actually said that I could have actually interviewed some Roblox people, so I'm super bummed. I am actually grounded from traveling for the next 4 or 5 months-ish, and I'm getting a lot of questions of like, Jen, why didn't you go? And why can't you travel? And what's going on? So in a transparent version of myself, I'm going to do TMI and overshare like why I'm not going. So I'm going to be out September 18th. So you get one more podcast from me, and then I'm out for a month-ish. And so here's what's going on. I have to take a little medical leave and have surgery. Now, it's totally fixable. It has extremely high success rate, but it's going to sound a little bit crazy. So just hang in. So I talk a lot about leaky buckets. Like if you've ever seen me do a trends presentation, like I have actually like a little leaky bucket when your KPIs aren't there. And so I think I actually manifested this on myself. I have to have brain surgery. So it is to repair a hole in the bottom of my skull that's only leaking brain fluid, and a little bit of my brain is leaking too. And the doctor quote was, right here, your brain is pooching out of your skull just a little bit. So I get high score on medical weirdness, as this is super rare. Yay. And I get 2 surgeons for the price of 5 because it is, after all, the US system where our doctors are amazing, but they're expensive as hell. My neurosurgeon was super adorable, and he described the surgery like this. I'm on a call with him, and he's like, we gently lift the brain. We take some fat, and he's pointing at my stomach. I'm like, you take some fat. We use that to repair the hole, and then we set the brain down. And we also have to move your brain back inside the skull. No problem. It's just beginner brain surgery. Totally fine. Very cool pictures will be available upon request. Clearly, you can see I've entered the joking phase of dealing with this. Honestly, though, I am still trying to wrap my head around all of this. Denanta, right? Get it? That's a good one.
Oh, we got a lot in the chamber for when you're back.
So you get me for 1 more week, and then I'm out, like I said, 3-4 weeks. I'll be back with my amazing Viking haircut. Like I have to shave like half of my head. It'll be like super badass, like I'm Lagatha from that Vikings TV show.
Do you want some designs I can send you?
Yeah. Send me some designs. I'll have to
join the Nordic
go
Army.
around my scar, which looks like an upside down. The Game of Thrones, that weapon that the Dothraki use that goes up and makes a C. Yeah, that's like basically like what will be where my scar will be. So I pity you, the audience, for the next month. Basically, no one's gonna cat wrangle these assholes, and I think Laura, where are you? I'm calling her in. So that is my banter and update. There you go. Brain surgery. Here we go. It'll be fun. No big deal.
We'll keep the chair warm for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be the most daunting just before they put you under. I can't imagine. Like, that's always the case.
Yeah, I'm not really one to have anxiety, but I did ask the doctor, I'm like, can I have some Xanax? Because I'm not sleeping so well right now. It's just all like, a lot of it's just mental. My poor wife. Yeah. Oh my God. My poor wife is the one, I think she's taking it harder than me. Because we're having to do like power of attorney and, a list of like, where are all the bank accounts, all of this stuff. Like, God forbid anything happen. You just have to do that to prepare, even though, again, like the success rate is, 90 something. Like, it's like incredibly, incredibly safe.
You told her where all the bodies are buried?
I did, sadly. I'm like, okay, here's the crypto account that I didn't tell you that I had, that I gamble with crypto and
all the ET game copies.
Yeah, the secret bank accounts.
Yeah, maybe the wife will be the host while you're out.
Oh my God, she is ex Air Force, so Mishka, you would either love her or hate her.
God,
she's gonna come in.
Oh,
She would
thank God.
destroy fucking Mishka with his sexist comments. Like, you would just get annihilated. She would reach across there and strangle you, fucking Mishka.
Oh, you get the scripts. Oh, that'd be so nice. All the articles.
All right. Well, speaking of the strict, let's get to corrections. In today's hyper-competitive digital landscape, understanding your app's journey from discovery to download isn't just insightful, it's the difference between scaling and stagnating. Enter AppsFlyer, the undisputed leader in mobile attribution and marketing analytics. They've mastered the science of making every ad dollar work harder by revealing exactly where your players come from and how they interact with your app. Their platform transforms mountains of complex data into clear, actionable intelligence that separates winning campaigns from budget-draining experiments. And I know that many of the top game companies leverage AppsFlyer and are a key partner in their success. AppsFlyer, where your app's potential meets performance.
Hey, are you building a game, launching an app, or considering an acquisition? Well, in that case, Deconstructor Fund Consulting is here to help you out. We do everything from market research to go-to-market strategies to live ops optimization and due diligence. We're trusted by some of the most beloved game development companies, makers of tools and tech, as well as some of the most renowned investors. Now, if you are building, launching, or buying, don't do it alone. Do it with us. Connect by emailing to consulting@deconstructorofun.com.
So Mindshare, our favorite analytics provider in KPI, reached out. Here's what I would clarify. Of course, they offer country level data. That was something that we were looking at in relation to Garena Free Fire, which was just the default board they shared. And so that wasn't something that was supposed to be meant for them. That's something that I think, Eric, you touch on a lot, is that really you need to start to dig into this data to derive actionable market insights. Still, sometimes there's value in the aggregate picture. That's something they offer. It's great they offer that for free. What I would still say, though, is that they predicate themselves on being a predictive company, that this new KPI is predictive. And what I would say is I would invite any company that does predictive-based analytics to provide point estimates on what it is they're predicting. And they clarified that what they tried to predict is players through launch. So what I would say is, like, what are the error bars? What are those results? And maybe they produced it, maybe they don't. I would be happy to share that information weekly, from any analytics provider. This is something Adam and I talk about all the time. We need to figure out what is the signal and what is the noise when it comes to Steam games. This is one of the biggest paradigms we have to solve. Wish lists are one model that does produce an output. It'd be interesting to benchmark other predictive analytics versus that. This is something they do all the time in sports analytics. These different analytic models try to predict things. We can see what the error bars are. So that's an invitation for anyone that I would invite. And it's something that I'd be happy to keep track of on a weekly leaderboard. But I would say if this is provided, let's show the world.
All right. Well, again, this reminds me of, I didn't get a chance to look at it last week, but this reminds me of kind of a GameStop tracks. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was a long time ago.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They had a group within GameSpot that was putting this system together. And it was a good tool to actually estimate demand back then, right? But even that tool became obsolete as the market changed. So what was interesting about this tool is that they did a consistent amount of coverage for each launch every time, right? Like preview, review, whatever, right? 2 previews, 1 review. I don't remember exactly what the components were. So therefore, it was comparable between one launch and another based upon GameSpot traffic about like the potential forward demand. So it was somewhat predictive. However, they shut it down because ultimately people stopped going to GameStop and IGN and they started going elsewhere for information about their games. And this is the big challenge with a tool like this, right? So the only reason it worked was because it was predictive in the sense that there was correlation between different games because it was the same level of coverage. But once that changes and that dynamic changes, it blew up. So nowadays it's even worse because there's so much hype and bullshit delivered by, whether it's influencers or some like complete viral thing that goes on fucking TikTok and all this other shit, that these type of tools are going to be really, 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 really hard to dial in from a prediction perspective, from my opinion. Anyway, I think it makes it very, very challenging in this world. So, for example, and they actually mentioned this, is Hollow Knight got 0.016%. Like that's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent in terms of buzz in July when this data was presented, right? And yet it is the biggest game in September. Okay. So like, that's not that far away. And that is certainly not predictive, right? So I like data. Data is data. I think I was looking at this data a little bit, and it's really interesting from the perspective of like how much interest is on existing games versus games that are coming out, right? Like that could actually give you a good indicator as to how much dominance of existing games like fucking GTA and Roblox, etc. But I do not think that this is going to be a very much value from a perspective of prediction. I think this is just data, and it's interesting, somewhat value of like looking at, but it's not going to be predictive and not that interesting. The market landscape is just too complex, and there's too much shit going on from a buzz perspective to actually dial this in.
All right, that makes sense. So the other one we wanted to go back and take a look at was NetEase and Destiny Rising. I think we didn't do a good job of like researching the history as we were musing about it. You did it, Crest, though. You went back and looked, right?
Dude, the amount of money that was burned on this thing, dude, unbelievable. Like unbelievable. Like NetEase made $100 million investment in Bungie, first of all, which I don't think ever paid back because they did it in 2018, but they were acquired though. So maybe they did get that money back. Forgot to look into that. I meant to do that. But in terms of the game itself, right? So not only did they do this $100 million investment, but presumably after they did this investment, they got access to the game for a mobile release. So they likely started development in 19 and 20. So that is 5 years of AAA 3D shooter development, which at least cost 100 million, maybe 150, right? Like, I mean, this is a lot of money that they spent building this game. And what seems to be clear is that they just threw this thing out to die, right? They have not supporting this at all. Like the downloads are like 1.6 million downloads. They've driven like 6 million in revenue. It's like freaking mice nuts for something this huge in terms of a game. And to be clear, the quality is so freaking high. Like it is like insanely level of quality. It is almost exactly the same as Destiny 2, you know, in terms of quality. So $6 million doesn't even pay for the fucking food service over the last 5 years. You know, like this is unbelievable, unmitigated disaster and really like bad, I think, for Destiny as a franchise. Maybe not. Maybe it does, I don't know, support everyone like wants it now on the Destiny 3 or something. I don't know, but whatever. It is bad, really a bad look, and too bad because I think the game has potential. So anyway, and what's likely happened is that Netmarble saw the metrics in early launch or whatever kind of beta they were doing, and they were fucking terrible. And so they just stopped support, right? That's what these guys do. So clearly the monetization wasn't working because otherwise they would have probably supported it if it was going to be successful.
Who wants to talk about Neil's piece?
I listened to the last episode and then I read what Neil wrote on Mobile Gamer Biz. So he wrote a piece on Destiny's reception by the community. And funny enough, it was exactly what Cress was saying in the last episode, where the community was basically overwhelming, saying that this game is really beautiful and it makes them want to play the console version of the game. And they want now Destiny 3 after getting this. So it was interesting just reading all these takes, and it summarized exactly what Cress said in the previous episode. So I just wanted to add that piece here that, Cress, I think you're absolutely right with your first take. It kind of let me thinking, Jen, with this thought of like, who is this game for then? Like, is it for the existing users who are playing, you know, the console version or the PC version, the Destiny 2, or is it for those who have churned out and now there's a mobile version, or is it those who have never played Destiny and this is the version to them? Is like who is this game for? Was kind of the question.
Yeah, everyone's jealous of COD Mobile from 2019, which was a codev game, and Diablo Immortal codev, Wild Rift from League of Legends codev. So, you know, this probably gave them hope that, hey, if you take a core IP, that's a Western-focused IP, that a Western PC-focused dev can't tackle. All of these are devs that can't do it. You know, Activision can do it. Blizzard struggled. Riot struggled. So we're starting to see these China-based devs that figured out Western play patterns, and they don't need Western devs anymore. This one, I think, is so kind of old that they hadn't quite figured out that the Chinese devs don't need the Western devs almost anymore. they're starting to be able to do it on their own. I think this is one of the biggest trends that we're going to see in gaming is, Chinese developers starting to really take on more and more genres and like licensed IPs from folks that are like, oh, well, let's just let you guys do it. So to me, that's the biggest part of the story.
No. I think what's likely is they build their own IPs. They don't need. Is that what you're saying? Because I don't think they need this anymore.
I think that you could license a Western IP, but not do it co-dev and just be like, hey, thank you guys. We'll just take the license.
But that's what this was. There's no fucking way Bungie had anything to do with this game.
In the early days, I thought they did, and they were being a pain in the ass about it. Just like
Blizzard. Yeah.
Like Blizzard, just like Riot, all of the Western devs.
Diablo Immortal has nothing to do with freaking Blizzard, right? That was a pure NetEase thing, right? And same with this. This game is completely a Chinese game, right?
Diablo Immortal is co-dev.
No way. No, it's not. Stop. Just stop. It's all bullshit. Like, it's all bullshit. They have some producers in fucking Irvine that are like, throwing things, throwing bombs. Whatever. Who cares? The product managers that aren't doing shit. All the game development that happened in NetEase, dude. They didn't.
They usually have Chinese language skills. You'd be surprised.
So hold on. I talked to some of these people. I'm not going to even name the company, but it is one of those biggest games. And they said, like, this is talking to the producers, actually producers, not product managers. They said that the Chinese basically outwork them. So all the time they're chasing, like before they get time to give a feedback on something, when they go to sleep, they wake up, there's a whole new thing, and they can't keep up with the amount of shit that they push.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think,
that's my point.
Crest, to your point, if you were to, like, on a spectrum, say how much is Blizzard involved from Blizzard side versus some of the other games, you're right. The NetEase, influence is likely higher than it was on Destiny or that it was on like League of Legends, like Wild Rift when I was there. When I was on Wild Rift, it was very like 50-50. And then I think what we're seeing is the Chinese developers. Yes. No, I mean,
the result
in the West
for itself.
Yeah. Teamfight tactics is like the exact perfect bulletproof point of this.
What do you? No. TFT is a completely different story. There is a Chinese SKU and a Western SKU.
Know.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
And guess which SKU is a top 10 revenue driver in China every single month?
Ding.
Fight for the golden spatula.
Okay. If I were to put a percentage on it, just to be clear, I think Diablo Immortal is something like 90-10, like China to Blizzard, right? This probably is like 95-5.
But hold on,
right?
What was the thing to begin with? Because Destiny's always been a console-based game. I don't know of any particular relationship with China. Like, you have to bet that this takes off in China for it to be successful. They could have never put something for the West in the P&L. That would be ridiculous, right? They must have had to think that this had an appeal to the Chinese market. I guess, like, why do they think Destiny was the right thing to take a shot at? Like, we've also seen them take Command and Conquer, Age of Empires. Like, they're just kind of like reaching their hand into the jar these days and seeing what's there. Delta Force? I mean, that was a Western IP.
Again, all these deals happened ages ago, right?
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago when things were like blowing up and A16Z was investing in all this bullshit, right? And so was Lightspeed, right? I'm just throwing them under the bus every freaking episode because
the view of Crest is not necessarily.
I just want people to understand that they are part of the problem, right? That they are the big part of the problem is that this became okay, right? And got this big fervor of bullshit, right? Of making these type of decisions, right? So anyway, the point is, it was just the nature of the beast back then, right? Let's do this, right? And so now everyone's unwinding it. And if everyone's so shocked that things are not going well, it's because they were stupid ideas to begin with, like you're saying,
I want to bring one example here. And I think because basically what I took away from this is that the Destiny was made for executives because they looked at all the numbers and like, hey, we want a piece of this fat pie. And maybe for the Chinese audience, it's not resonating, Destiny Mobile, I mean, or whatever it's called. And then I kind of looked at, Phil, you said a couple of times Warframe in the last episode. And I wanted to double click on Warframe because in my opinion, Warframe is a perfect example that kind of shuts the book on this shit. And Warframe, for those who don't know, it's a sci-fi looter shooter, kind of like the first big looter shooter that was released 2013. So that's almost a year before Destiny. And we don't know how much Warframe makes, but Epic's core documents estimate that Warframe on Steam had $150 million revenue in 2019, making it the fourth most profitable third-party game on the platform. We know that Tencent acquired Digital Extremes, which is the developer and the publisher of Warframe, in December 2020. And the game is also available on all the consoles and Switch, which probably lands it in total of like $250 million a year gain. So based on this data, of course, they made the mobile version, and it seems like this game was sent out to die. I remember there was a whole pre-registration campaign. I actually signed up early. It was, downloaded automatically on my device. And it's weird. Like I went to the background of the story. So it was co-developed with Finnish game studio called Nitro Games. And they made the mobile version.
Like auto fire?
A copy of Auto Fire. Like, no offense to Nitro Games. It's actually even a public company with like 13 people. Okay, 20, 25, 40, maybe 50. Anyways, they're great folks through and through. But I have no idea how they had, like, they shouldn't have any business developing $1 billion franchise on such a small studio. So it felt like the whole Warframe mobile was a deliberate self-sabotage or something. Like, I don't know. So basically, my point here is you have a great free-to-play PC console game. It get ported. The numbers are horrific. Nobody goes inside to understand what it is, but kind of summarize like, hey, we shouldn't do this anymore. So all these projects that are coming out, they're basically just not getting any marketing because they're showing Warframe and like, look, Warframe hit the wall. We shouldn't be doing anything.
I need to revise something that I said because this is actually a great example of this, right? Because I know for a fact that I said back in the day that this was a good idea for a lot of these publishers to outsource their mobile game development to Chinese developers. And I still believe that. Like that is a good shot on goal for them because someone like Ubisoft, someone like Bungie, someone like Blizzard cannot make a successful free-to-play title on the marketplace, period, end of sentence, right? And so I agree with that, right? This was the right shot on goal. What I'm trying to tell you is that these guys made the right shot on goal. They made an amazing game. They have really deep monetization design, but the shooter is not working. Like this game is not working in the marketplace. Like besides these core group of people that got the game initially who are monetizing reasonably well, initially anyway. So, but this doesn't broaden it out. UA costs are all through the roof and stuff, whatever. So maybe I shouldn't have brought in A16Z Lightspeed on this one, but but nonetheless, Warframe's a great example. Like this was the wrong way. This is not a strategy that I would have recommended is to find some small developer to build out a mobile shooter like this.
Well, hold on. What about the Switch SKU though? Why would they do a Switch SKU? Why was this a part of the strategy? Like the corruption runs deeper than just doing a mobile SKU. Like how in God's name
it's horrific. It's horrific.
That makes no sense.
It's horrific.
It's just like a cursory glance of like, hey, maybe a rated M-ish hardcore sci-fi RPG doesn't match with the Switch audience. Like,
no, that makes no sense either, right? I mean, Warframe is a great game. By the way, I don't want to discount that one. This is not mice nuts. This is an amazing accomplishment of what these guys have done with this franchise. This is like one of the OG free-to-play games that crushed it on PC until I think much lesser degree on console.
And the one thing before we wrap on that is CPIs and UA is in an extremely different place than when COD Mobile launched in 2019. That was, pre-IDFA. It's much more expensive now. It's harder to find these people. So I do think that there is a broader, kind of market around how difficult it is to promote. And by the way, there's like all of these shooters out there. And so something is going on in the mobile shooter market that just isn't allowing those to find success. And I think they're still competing with the BR games that we talked about last time. All right. I know that we want to skip the section, but Phil, come on. Like you took out the point where you said that Minecraft had a 25% increase in daily active users.
Oh, that wasn't a supporting point for you. That was
how is that not a supporting point?
Because we're talking about when we talk about these lifts is the area under the curve, the marginal uplift from where they previously were to where they are now. And so all you've shown me is that for one of the most successful movie franchises of all time, and right now we're looking at mobile and console DAUs from Sensor Tower, which has the video game insights data, it was a very small bump in these things. And so multiply that by ARPDAU, and that is a very small uplift in revenue. And that is for the greatest, most highest upcase Minecraft. You got this little dinky bump.
So, dude,
Next.
My point, no. My point on franchises is you are not looking at the franchise. You have to look at all boats rising. It
Agreed.
Is everything about the franchise. Yes, you're going to see some increase in games, but you're also going to see hundreds of millions of dollars in toy sales, softline sales,
Okay.
all of the other things.
Yeah.
That is my point, that
Okay.
there is an uplift. It might not be like the magical, I'm launching a game uplift that you would want to see.
There's a reason that when I go to Disney, I pay like $40 for the Spider-Man Mickey Mouse ears versus the $30 normal Mickey Mouse ears. Like there is a reason for that I grab the Oreos rather than like the Dunkaroos. Like, don't get me wrong, you are right on fundamental level. Again, this line item is small. And it's disappointing that this is the best we can milk out of this. They tried. They had a whole live ops strategy around this too. That's usually the criticism.
And it's a live service with really active players base. So it's like, this should be one of those like really good case studies as to the uptick, right? Like versus someone that comes out with a game every like 6 years or something, and then that has no bearing whatsoever, right?
Completely agree. I think Fallout Shelter is interesting. Remember, of all the things we've looked at, Fallout Shelter had the biggest spike because remember, free to play has uncapped spend, right? So now it's like you got to count that as a part of your strategy. I think a better study of this would be like Uplift and Marvel games. I think would be curious across the entire mobile ecosystem to kind of look at the GDP impact.
I wonder if that's even like a little bit less because there's so much Marvel stuff going on. And the way that they do promote each and every, character. I mean, Marvel has struggled a little bit lately. The same is true for Star Wars. All of those games add those characters in. I just think it's like diminished over time because there's so much of it. Anyway, let's get to the next topic. Newzoo has a new free games report that's out. It's called Global Games Market Report 2025. They have a free edition. If you go to their website, you sign up, you get it. So this includes global forecasts through 2028. So they do a typical outlook that Phil loves to yell at them because actually, they do a lot of reforecasting and corrections throughout the year now, which I think is great that they do that. So there's platform insights, a preview of the first special focus topic, modernizing release windows, data-driven launch insights, release timing, early access, best practices, and how attribution unfolds after launch. So that is what is in the report. Okay, so now you want to get to a bunch of the charts. So we're at 188.8 billion in revenue. So that's up 3.4% year on year. From a player standpoint, the number of players worldwide is up 4.4%. Console is actually leading this growth. It's up 5.5%, fueled by none other than the Switch. There have been a few great releases as well. We can imagine once GTA 6 comes out, that's going to also bolster that. PC revenue is up 2.5%. This is from growth in China and Japan, outpacing Western markets. Phil, you love to talk about this, how China and Japan are just, really driving a lot of those Steam and PC numbers. Mobile is slowing in the Asia Pac region, although it's still the biggest segment, a little over 100 billion, up about 3%. Payers, so this is always interesting. Payers was up 5% to 1.6 billion. This is growing faster than total players, though the average spend per payer is slightly declining. So, Chris, you always talk about looking at Roblox, looking at other platforms and keeping an eye on payers. So that's an interesting trend. The last one is that Gen Alpha is reshaping PC gaming, making up a larger share of the platform's player base. So this one is interesting. Offline, after Ethan was on a couple weeks ago, we were talking about like this trend that Gen A and Gen Z are hanging out on Steam on Friday nights. They're picking a new game for $5. They play together, and then it's kind of like this disposable. Instead of going to a movie, we're going to play a game, and then every week we're going to play a different game. And so I thought that trend was kind of highlighting here in this data point, and it might be something for devs to keep an eye on. Is like, how do you market and attract players that have this share of time use case? So kind of interesting. Thanks, Newzoo, for sending us all the info. Mishka.
Wasn't it Newzoo that just said that Gen Z is no longer paying for games? Like it's fucking Armageddon?
No, that was Circana.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was Circana. Okay.
Yeah.
This thing makes more sense. Circana makes no fucking sense. Just to be clear. Like
that point, just to not to defend, to clarify, was primarily a comparison like April 24 to April 25, showing that decline.
I renew my objection to that nonsensical analysis.
Don't you just miss when Newzoo would do those cloud gaming updates and esports?
That's ancient
it would be
history.
so much more fun.
No, they're hitting a lot of interesting topics.
I know. And regarding that, Newzoo will be on the podcast next Monday, and it's in the full version. So if you have any questions for Newzoo, join the Deconstructor Fun Slack channel. If you're there, just post any questions you would like to ask about the industry, the market, and I will ask them maybe in the podcast.
My first question, why didn't you adjust for inflation? This is zero growth.
This is zero growth.
I'm adding it. This is
my
is
God,
amazing.
it's like
This
on
is
This is not
record.
real growth.
Yeah.
2.5%, that's inflation. And consoles fake news. Switch doesn't matter for anyone except Nintendo shareholders.
This is true.
And they would say,
Next.
well, there are also exchange rate issues that we're bringing something down. That's always the exchange
Tariffs.
Tariffs.
I'm just throwing buzzwords in.
All right.
So, Cress, we just talked a lot about Blizzard.
I'm going to make this quick because I don't know this guy and I feel bad talking trash about someone I don't even know or ever heard of. But I guess this is kind of a testimony to my point, right? Walter Kong is now Senior VP Head of Development of Live Games and Mobile at Blizzard, right? Which on the surface doesn't seem like a big deal, but this guy is in charge of basically Overwatch, right? Which hasn't gone very well, to be honest. Let's be clear, right?
No, it's on the uptick again. It's a better place.
It's the best it's ever been.
Yeah, it actually.
On a monetization front, I don't think so. I've seen the data. It does not look good.
No, the ship has been steered. Because Marvel Rivals was a huge threat. And not only are they emerging from that, they're emerging from that stronger than they've ever been with a clear vision.
All right, fine. Let's take this back and bring some data into it. And I will guarantee you that they are far lower than they were during the heyday of Overwatch. Anyway, my point is that this guy is now in charge of Warcraft Rumble, Diablo Immortal, and Hearthstone. So he's increasing his responsibilities and capturing this thing. So what makes this scary to me is it feels like the mobile strategy at Blizzard is over, right? So if they're not hiring new executives that actually know something about mobile, right, then they're basically just letting this guy manage these things into the ground. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't know. I haven't heard any insight into what's going on, but they clearly are not prioritizing mobile by having this guy take charge
it's
of
better.
these three.
It helps your case. Remember, they were sniffing out South Korea. Remember, we saw some deals potentially licensing happening.
Yeah.
To shift like the RTS StarCraft license potentially to one of those studios. So I think that actually aligns with what you were saying earlier is like, if you can't get this right, ship it like they've done with Diablo Immortal and see what the East can do with it. I think it makes sense to, and like, guys, you should give this to South Korea, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've culturally adopted. This is like our baseball. Let's give it to these people.
Licensing strategy might make sense because I don't think Blizzard can do mobile. Like, I just don't think they have the capability because they have too much creative integrity to actually make a mobile game that makes sense. So I don't disagree with the strategy. I'm just saying that it just seems like the focus on mobile is kind of over for Blizzard corporate. So sad, a little bit sad.
Warcraft
Well, we'll
Rumble,
see.
100
We'll
employees was still on it. Like what, a month ago?
Yeah, well, they talked about, sunsetting that game, that it's just running with no new updates, I think was the last we read. I don't know if they still have that many people or not. I don't remember what the update said. All right. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on our friends at Blizzard.
Game devs. Here at Heroic Labs, we know that great gameplay is what players love, but integrating metagame features like challenges, progression, and rewards is crucial for retention and monetization. But coding them is a tedious and time-consuming process. That's why top studios have turned to Hero from Heroic Labs. Hero provides a complete suite of battle-tested metagame features that are quick to implement, letting you spend more time on the core gameplay experience. Ready to ship fully featured engaging games? Check out Hero today at heroiclabs.com.
Web stores. You've seen what good looks like, but have you experienced great? AppCharge is the direct-to-consumer platform that powers over $500 million in transactions each year for top studios. They're not just another vendor. They're backed by Supercell and built by monetization veterans from Moonactive, Playtika, and other industry giants who understand the difference between merely functional and the truly exceptional. What sets them apart? Deeply personalized web stores with custom design offers, industry-leading monetization features, seamless in-game payment integration, and a robust SDK. While 70% of top-grossing games already have web stores, the ones scaling the fastest are doing it with AppCharge. Ready to transform good into great? Learn more at appcharge.com.
Stay ahead of the competition with Sensor Tower, the trusted source for mobile marketing intelligence. Whether you're tracking trends, benchmarking performance, or scouting the next big hit, Sensor Tower delivers the data that drives strategy. Dominate the charts with Sensor Tower.
Moving on to
moving on.
games, we have to do our due diligence for Hollow Knight Silksong, which has been a monster release on Steam. We are looking right now at Alina Analytics, which has put together some infographics based on how the game has been performing. They're reporting 5 million unique players, 3 million copies sold, 50 million in revenue for an Australian team. If you remember, this is a spinoff of Hollow Knight, which also was enormously successful on Steam. They had a peak CCU of 587,000 users on Steam. That is unheard of for a game of this size. And remember, we keep learning about these games, these smaller titles, these smaller teams, which have been able to build an audience on Steam and ultimately have just like a very straightforward model for success, which is selling the game flat. Now, don't get me wrong, this team left so much money on the table. I mean, Jesus, it's just painful. The special editions, $20, they could have gone way higher. But
well, not to mention they gave it away to Microsoft.
Yeah,
dude, they gave it away on the fucking Game Pass, right? That's just huge.
I mean, just to put the success into context with some of the other games we've been talking about. Remember Repo we were talking about, Peak, which is another one we briefly mentioned, Schedule 1, the drug dealer one. This is 3 million copies. None of those even crack 1 million. So we're talking about 3x the sale of success versus other titles we've been talking about. And not only that, when we look at the crossover titles, it's a lot of these Souls-like games. And I think what's interesting about this is that they're starting to include a lot more life sim elements. I'm seeing this a lot more games as these life sim elements are becoming interesting loops that are like cheap systems. Remember, we keep talking about productive systems. And I think designers are getting a lot smarter with these life sim elements. And I'm trying to keep track of that because I always see Steam as like one of the forefronts of designs that might head over to mobile. So congrats to them, but I don't think it means much. And honestly, it does not validate this $20 model, no MTX, no free to play. Sometimes I hear the crazies come out whenever this happens. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's great. The market can support a lot of different models. Awesome.
The premium religious right or something like that? Is that what you're saying?
The evangelicals.
I don't know anything about this. I just saw Reese posting about this game and I saw the headline news of servers crashing. Like, what is this game? Like, how does it play? Like, what does it look like? I have no idea.
It's a platformer.
That's like one way to describe it. That's literally what you're doing. But remember, you have a lot of Souls-like mechanics. So it's leaning on that system, which remember, Steam has really embraced it. It's a really cheap systems design where you have randomization elements. And then you have life sim elements too, which extend the amount of hours that you can put in the game and give it a lot of replayability. So like this will sustain an audience for a little bit. Like Baldur's Gate is another example. I mean, obviously very different franchises, but again, systems.
Was this self-published?
So it's an Australian team. They're called Team Cherry. They were successfully raised on Kickstarter previously. That's really what got this going. Remember, they had that Hollow Knight success. They were in the sequel territory. There was some hype for this. It was nothing in particular. Like, I don't think they hired a marketing firm or anything along those lines. So this is still a grassroots level success.
Got it. Okay.
It looks like it was self-published.
We'll probably talk about if it's self-published or not. What was the team size? What were the development marketing costs? What we think they could have been, and why did they sell so well?
Let's keep it simple. My argument for this week, and I'll add that in notes, is keep it simple as like, congratulate the team for success. We go over the numbers. We can talk a little bit about it, and we can tease at least that we'll talk about. If this storyline continues next week, we can do a deep dive into the developer.
Okay.
All right. Next topic is Roblox RDC. So I already mentioned I recorded a podcast if you want to go a little bit deeper. So here are the 3 topics that I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on. One is the DevX rate increase. Number 2 is rewarded ads. And number 3 is Roblox Moments, which was basically adding TikTok-like features inside of Roblox. Okay. So on number 1, the rate increase. So here's what happened. There is an 8.5% DevX or developer exchange rate increase. The rev share with developers has been extremely low when you add everything up. So when you start to take out platform fees and what Roblox takes and all of the other things, a developer basically only takes home about 21%. So in this move of increasing the DevX by 8.5%, they're also removing or changing some of the other programs that they have in place around the creator affiliate program and the engagement playout. And ironically, UEFN is only an engagement payout platform. And, Roblox says it a little bit differently since there are IAP monetizations. Also, they announced that 29,000 devs have actually cashed out money from the platform using the DevX platform. This was in a year kind of time frame. Reportedly, there are 3.1 million total devs, meaning that only about 1% take cash out from all of the developers. So, Phil, this has to be your number one. I mean, please tell me I'm not crazy. What do you think?
So many interesting things happened here. I mean, like, where do you start? So I think what was interesting about the DevX rate increase was that it's the rate at which Robux converts into real cash. So if you remember, like, they get paid in Robux from the consumer, from the player, and then they have that stored, and then they can cash it out at that fixed exchange rate. And so the way they've altered the developer share is by changing that exchange rate. So you actually have an incentive if they increase rates like this to hold on to cash, because remember, now cash that you stored instantly became more valuable, which is interesting. And so I was like thinking today, like, oh man, it's almost like they paid you out basically an interest rate for keeping the capital floating in the system, which I think becomes really interesting. Like, if you remember Starbucks, they have so much of their capital floating around in gift cards, just kind of swishing around. And like, you can't quite like write it off, but you can kind of depreciate it. I think that shit's super interesting. But I think overall, the question is like, what is the appropriate dev share for them that maximizes Roblox's GDP? Because that is what they are after. They are after GDP. And if you remember, there's this thing called the Laffer curve, which tries to describe the relationship between tax revenue and the tax rate. And so if you have a tax rate of 100%, you have zero tax revenue. And that's because no one produces, right? No one would produce with a tax rate of 100%. And if you have a tax rate of 0, you don't capture any tax revenue, right? Because the tax rate is 0. And so there's a maximum tax rate that will maximize the revenue that you can get. So this was originally proposed by an economist named Laffer during the Reagan administration. And so the question is like, you got to remember there's elasticity. So even though they're increasing the dev share payout, they're not writing this off in the P&L for an equivalent amount, because they know that there's going to be a snapback effect where there's going to be a supply side increase in the amount of content that people are able to make on the platform. Like, that is one of the most limiting factors, is that there's only so much money going to the developers for them to reinvest in the platform. Like, remember, Adopt Me was a headcount of 50, right? And so the thing that's limiting them from scaling is like, they need more revenue capture. I was just surprised they didn't make it a marginal tax rate like Steam, where if you earn above a certain amount, the amount that's earned above that bracket is taxed at a lower rate. You basically get a, superstar effect, so to speak. I'm surprised they didn't move down that, and they're doing down this flat framework.
Nerd.
That was my biggest surprise.
Nerd.
That just became the Game Economist cast for a sec.
No, Philip, though, okay, hold on a minute. There's no fucking way they would do that, right? Because the majority of the money is being made by a very small percentage
Correct.
of the overall games. And so you start increasing the rate in which you're giving those developers, the bigger developers that we talk about all the time.
Oh, totally.
That would
Yeah,
fuck them. They would get no
Twin
revenue, right? All the revenue would be gone if they start doing that bullshit,
They're increasing the payouts right now. I think it's just a question of how targeted you want those increased payouts to be.
Look, I think it's good visibility that they're increasing the payouts, but I'm just saying, like, they can't do a progressive model. Is that right? Progressive model? They can't do a model in which they pay out more percentage to the ones that are hitting a certain mark, because that's where all the revenue is generated.
The Steam model, I guess.
Yeah, they can't do the Steam model.
So why do you think Steam does it?
Well, because Steam is fixed at 30%, right?
Mm-hmm. And this goes, I think, down to 25%. I forget the amount that it's triggered at. I think, was it 100 million, 50 million? But it goes down to 25% as the second bracket.
But it goes down, right? It doesn't go up.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what I'd suggest here is, like, why not keep, let's say, the exchange rate they have now for developers earning under, let's say, $100 million, and increase it for people above a certain amount. So you're only giving the gains to your biggest producers so that, like, Adopt Me can scale.
Let me see if I understand this. Is when the rate goes down on Steam, is taking less of a cut. When the rate goes up on Roblox, they're paying a developer more. So, right?
Right.
Phil?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So that, just to keep it straight in my
The
head.
payout
that's
is
it, yeah.
increasing. The amount they pay out per Robux is increasing. So developers who are sitting on capital now have more that they can get paid out. That it's worth more in the conversion.
Interesting. I do think that it's a consolidation. I mean, just like any of these platforms that we're seeing, it's like a pyramid scheme where at the top is most of the revenue with just a couple of games. Although Roblox is now seeing new games come in at the top with Steal a Brain Rot, with Grow a Garden, like games that hadn't been in the top, like exploded to the top with your lovely, egregious, and predatory monetization capabilities, making a lot of money. So it does feel more consolidated at the time. I don't have any one of those charts. Maybe we should look that up to see like how many.
Look, this model does not work for traditional developers. Like a 70-30 model will not work, right? In terms of the amount of money, right? But this supports the overall like platform because it's just all about discovery, engagement, repeat, right? And they need more and more content, right, to come in. And so this works for what it is, right? I don't think it'll ever change, right? And I guess we have a whole podcast about AA and AAA development that I haven't listened to, but I just, it doesn't make sense to do it.
Well, it's just difficult, especially because those developers don't understand how to make games successful for this audience is the other thing. Like most of the successful developers are 20 who grew up playing Roblox games.
That's a great point. That was in the Voldex episode. Like they brought in a really, really talented team and kind of essentially build an aggregator for Roblox games where they take these early hits and kind of add the PM, the live ops expertise on top of it. But when we discussed that in the podcast, they basically said, like, I'm paraphrasing, but they don't know what makes these kids tick. Like they can't come up with original ideas. They can only take the existing ones, which is interesting business model.
Dude, because they're all old, dude. I met with those guys. They're like, they're not quite
The
my age.
The founder is like 12. Have you met him?
The founder of Voldex?
Yeah.
He's 20. He's in his low 20s. Yeah.
Oh, no. I met the other guy.
12 compared to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm an old man.
It's a fast,
moving on.
Yeah. Right. So rewarded video. I wanted to hit on this one because this is, I think, Cress, you're going to love this as a way to monetize the mostly unmonetizable, which are kids. So here's what's going on. They already announced rewarded video in partnership with Google. GameFam talked about this on the podcast. They're in the beta for the program. And so Joe was talking about this. Their experience has been, like slow, good early signals would be the way I would categorize what he said. So the launch of rewarded video is coming in a few months. So the gist is it's early, it's promising. I think this is going to be one of the biggest things that they can likely do to juice revenue that feels a little bit less predatory than what we're seeing in some of the Phil's favorite techniques. This will be, in a sense, what I think solid, and they're taking a page from mobile free to play. I think from other people I've talked to who went to RDC, Mike Doom was like, I felt like I was back at Zynga and all of the like PMs were, there doing the data jockeying, trying to teach and everyone like, how does mobile free to play work? How does ad monetization work? So I think we're going to see them really leveling up. Cress, thoughts?
I don't want to be revisionist history here, but I just want to be clear on my point of view on this whole thing is that when they started doing rewarded advertising, or I found out that they were partnering with Google on this was actually the big thing that made me bullish is that they are unlocking advertising. Like it's something that the founder was hesitant to do. But again, Manuel brought this and created the opportunity. Now, what I thought at the time was that banner advertising was fucking stupid, right? Because that does not work. Right? That does not work in a interactive content. And I will argue that to the death, right? But rewarded advertising is a completely different animal. And then partnering with Google was really smart because I think what they know how to do this stuff. And so like working together to make it work within the platform makes sense. Having said that all, there is a huge learning curve for these podunk small developers, right? To get these stuff integrated properly within their game. So it's not like the seamless transition, right? To one thing. And it's a big challenge for them. But again, they need to monetize the unmonetizable, right? They have these huge audience numbers that they're not monetizing. And so like any type of activity that results in trying to monetize that audience is great, right? And my understanding is that Roblox and Google is making it more plug and play, like much easier for people to implement. And that's bullish. But the next thing is even more bullish.
Yeah. So just to wrap that out, because Crush, you made a great point. You have to have 100,000 DAUs on your game or experience to even apply to do rewarded video. So they're not opening it to every single person. You've got to have kind of a minimum amount of traffic. And I have heard that they have reduced the amount of like clicks and set up dramatically less to make it much easier to set that up. So the next one, let's move to Roblox Moments. All right, so we're watching a video together if you want to watch on Spotify video or on our YouTube channel. So here's what Roblox Moments is, and it wouldn't be true to my marketing roots if I didn't talk about this feature. Basically, it adds TikTok short form video to Roblox, but what a player can do is capture, edit, and share a moment while others then can click join to instantly try out the experience. So you actually get, in a sense, CapCut inside of Roblox, where you can, capture the moment of the game that you're playing, share a moment virally on the platform. Others can then join. Roblox is actually releasing the Moments API to developers and the source code so that folks can integrate it into their own experiences. Right now, it is live. It's not getting a ton of traction. When I talked to Joe from GameFam about it, he's like, oh, we'll see. Likely this is just in the early stages, but I would have to imagine if you're a kid and you're doing what we all want to do is, share your favorite moments, and they make it super, super easy, that this is going to be a great kind of like in-app marketing platform and another self-expression platform. So Phil, thoughts, big deal?
I think we're missing the big storyline with Roblox. I think Eric is so myopic in my topic on this issue. I think it's time to start raising the alarm for them too. These guys are becoming aggregators. They're starting to control discovery. It's very clear what the product play is here for all of these, right? It's about the ecosystem. And not only that, remember, they own the engine, right? They own the whole fucking stack. And if they own demand, they are going to work their way up the supply chain. This is value destructive for the industry. And don't get me wrong, I am amazed at their success. Don't get me wrong, I cheer them on. There's a lot we could offer in terms of product advice for moments. This is definitely also a way to counter, I would argue, the rise of short form video, right? And this is something Ben Thompson, Ashetetri, who's a great writer, has commented, that the feed is increasingly becoming a place where you serve any type of content. And that used to be social content, but it can be anything. It can be games. It can be AI videos, which Facebook has been rumored to be testing with great success. And I think Roblox views this the same way because they are not gamers. This is not a company that is friendly to us. There was a Twitter video that went viral recently of someone's a day in the life of Roblox. And it was the most pampered, Google-esque experience that they're just completely foreign. It's not a gaming company, and Scopely had this issue, and they fixed it. The market disciplined them. But when you walked in the office, there was not game art that was being celebrated everywhere. That came later, right? It started as a tech company, concrete floors, a certain type of lighting. And so I think we need to be extremely skeptical of Roblox from an industry perspective, even if we think they're incredible in their success and maybe you should explore it, maybe there's brand marketing, all that stuff can be true, but they are starting to represent a real threat, especially if people really do retain on the platform, because they will aggregate demand and they will use that to control suppliers. This is a real threat.
How is that different from what I've been saying for years on this podcast?
Oh, I still think we have to recognize that they're on the march, right? They continue to march and they continue to grow and they continue to have success. And I guess the question is are they going to slow down? Is this where they top out?
And the reason that GameFam is not bullish about fucking moments is because it fucks them. It absolutely fucks them, right? It just supports the platform. It doesn't support game developers.
Correct.
Right? Basically creating. All right, sorry. Let me step back a little bit. So when I heard about moments 6 months, I don't know, a year ago or whenever I fucking heard about it, they acquired this company called Gilded way back in 2021, right? And this company was building this tool and technology for social, fucking Discord. They're basically building a Discord, and they acquired it to actually put it within their ecosystem. And so this could be huge, right? Because there are billions, if not trillions of minutes of interaction with Roblox's platform on fucking TikTok and YouTube, right? They want to capture as much of that as possible, right? And once Manuel unlocked advertising, then now they're creating a fucking platform. And I said I wasn't going to use the F word, but it just keeps coming out.
And the cookie jar.
Yeah. They unlock advertising. Now they're building another platform in order to advertise that is actually a real platform, is not banner advertising in stupid Roblox games, right?
Yep.
This is huge, right? This could be huge, right? And it just opens it up. And I agree with everything just Philip said, but I don't think it's against what I've been saying. It's this is not good for gaming, right? And this is certainly not good for the developers, right? They're a technology company creating a platform to build up, things. So most likely people will move from playing games to actually looking at TikTok shit on Roblox, potentially anyway. That's the potential. And so from a stock perspective, just to be clear, from a Wall Street perspective, this frickin' is gold. And if you don't think that people knew about this 6 months ago when this stock started fucking going to the moon, right? You're kidding yourself, right? All these guys knew. And that's why the stock kept moving, is because of this. And that's why when they announced it at
RDC.
The Roblox convention, the stock has done nothing, right? Because it's already priced into the stock. So anyway, gun to my head, are they going to be successful? I am not quite sure. Even though I'm bullish and I think Wall Street's bullish for a good reason, the fact is executing against this is going to be freaking hard, right? The technology side of it is really, really hard. Getting these low-end devices to be able to actually execute against this shit, like building out like these moments in a piece of crap like Android device circa 2020 is going to be impossible, right? But they're making an effort, and Wall Street loves this shit, right? Because at the end of the day, they have failed to monetize the majority of their audience, despite all these numbers going up and to the right. The fact is that only a small percentage of the audience is spending money, and only a very, very small fraction of a percent of the developers are actually making money on this platform. But again, this is all great for Roblox. And so what I can say with reasonable certainty for the next 12 to 18 months, they will likely increase ARPU in North America and Europe. And that is freaking bullish, right, for the stock. So that's what Wall Street cares about. And that's why I still would be interested in the stock even at this level, because I think this is really interesting. So is that clear, Bill? I mean, does that?
No, that's fine. That's fine. I would say I actually don't believe in moments. Like I recognize their imperialist call. Like I think I mean, you have to just appreciate that. Like there's no saying that they don't think they can dominate and own. So that is what I would want to recognize. And that's a threat to us. I think moments is a struggle because remember, it's going to be vertical rather than horizontal, which is how most games are played. I'm not quite sure how you interface with it. And remember, it can't just be like an ad spawn demon of like brand advertisers. Like it actually has to engage with people and provide like meaningful moments for them to connect.
It's UGC. It's not for brands. It's like a kid going in and sharing a moment. I mean, unless they start selling that to an ad, to a brand.
But they have to start with like actually noble intentions of like, we want people to engage here. We need to give the user value rather than just figure out how I can tack on an ad platform to this like TikTok style video. Like they're now under the gun of Wall Street, and like this has to be good in and of itself. This has to be entertaining in and of itself. How does this integrate in the platform and enhance the Roblox experience is something that I don't think they've clearly answered yet.
You and I are arguing the same point. Like, because they actually have to put this TikTok thing in the Roblox app.
It has to be part of the loop.
It has to be like a
correct.
Yeah. And that's
they don't understand their own core loop. They don't understand how to game. Like they ran their first live ops, platform live ops event earlier this year. Like this would be a great opportunity to do like a Pokemon Snap style meta event. Anything like you're fucking game developers, make a fucking game. Like so do what you're good at. Well, actually I wouldn't say that.
So they have done the live ops event the last 2 years actually. And then they did talk about that they are releasing the Moments API and the source code to all of the developers to try and incentivize them to do exactly what you're saying. Because I agree with you, unless it is baked in, it is very easy for a 10-year-old to go in to capture their own moment and share it. It's going to be difficult for that to happen. But if you're relying, like I call this like a social gaming hub. Instead of going to the movies or the mall, Gen A is coming in here to be with their friends. Now, if you're giving them a tool to share with their friend and basically send them a Snapchat, or TikTok inside the game, like, hey, dude, look what I'm doing. I just teabagged somebody in my game. Come check this out. And then they can click join and come in their game. It is both amazing for a developer and scary as hell because you are about to lose a lot of your audience unless you go after that alpha of the Gen Alpha friend group who's going to pull all of their friends like all around the ecosystem. So it is both exciting and terrifying. Anyway, we didn't get to Cress's.
Oh, it's okay. The only thing I want to say is that everything I've been saying about Xbox is being parroted by people that are coming out of Xbox. So this guy, Pete Hines, who came from Bethesda, and Shannon Loftus, like all these guys are saying basically the same thing in nice, like from a developer perspective. And I think it's worth reading and just understanding that how the Game Pass ecosystem is basically destroying Microsoft.
Wow, what a legacy. What a legacy.
Yeah.
It was a good thought. Netflix for games was a good idea.
No, stop
it was
this.
not.
Stop
it was
this.
never a
As
good
a consumer, it was a good idea.
Yes.
No,
As
we
a
always
business-
do on live. You don't get away from this.
No, I
online-
say if somebody would have pitched, hey, we're going to do Netflix for games, I'm like, tell me more. And it's going to have all these amazing
No, I would say
AAA
tell me
games.
less.
Yes.
I would say come back when I won't start now.
I'm gullible. I could say yes. Why not?
Subscription
How much?
platforms, consumers, yay, developers, oh, that's the summary of the story, I think.
Exactly.
All right. That's it for this week. We will see you next week. Thanks for joining.
Ciao.
You did it. You made it to the end of the episode.
As a fan of the show, it would help us out if you'd subscribe and leave us a review on the podcast service of your choice. Those stars and likes, while a small action on your part, mean a lot to us and help to grow the show. More importantly, are you a member of the Deconstructor of Fun Slack group? If you have 5 years or more of games industry experience, go to deconstructoroffun.com/Slack and apply to join. Join the games industry best professional community filled with peers always willing to lend a hand, or subscribe to our newsletter to get all the latest insights from the Deconstructor of Fun content creators. Thanks for listening.